Hello everyone and welcome to my UDK tutorial series. In this particular episode, I'm going to be going over camera actors. Now, camera actors are what you would expect them to be, and sort of just like a camera or perspective that the player could use to be able to, look at the level in a certain way. You could do like a first-person view or third-person view, or if you're playing like a strategy game or some kind, you do like a top-down view, or you could even do you can use it for like cinematic events where you want to trigger like a certain like the camera to switch and view a certain location, and just be able to manipulate the camera or the viewing, whatever you're viewing, and manipulate that in a certain way. Basically makes sense. I might be going through this probably a little quickly. I don't know. It's pretty easy to understand, relatively. At least as far as what I've been messing around with it. It's kind of cool actually, because you can see some really cool immediate results to your level without having to do a lot of work too. So that's always good. But to get started with the basics of this, because there's varying degrees of difficulty. But the basics is, jump in here to the content browser, go to the common, and then camera actor. And I believe in the right-click context menu, you can also do an add camera actor here, or no, I'm sorry, that is just, no, yeah, you can do an add camera actor here, or is that because I have something selected? I'm not entirely sure, but let's see, add actor, all templates. I'm sure there's a camera actor in here somewhere. No, I'm not seeing one. Well, at any rate, you've got it in here in the browser menu thing, so it doesn't matter. But go ahead and just drag the camera actor out, and you'll be fine. I've already got one here in the level position. So let's see, which one was it actually? Ah, there it is. This one right here. I've got one position right here, and it can be a little difficult at times trying to position the camera exactly where you want it and get the perfect angle and stuff like that for what you want to do. So what's really helpful, instead of having to sit here and maneuver it this way a little bit, and then rotate a little bit like this, and then a little bit like that, and constantly have to go into your level and see, okay, is it right now? No, it's not. Let me try it again, and a lot of waiting between loading times and stuff like that. It can be annoying, but there's a really cool thing that you can do. If you select the camera actor and you go up here, there's a lock selected actors to camera button. What that will do is nothing at first, but if you notice, the background's kind of frozen now. And then if I move the camera, we've now, it doesn't really seem like it's doing much now. Okay, sure, the camera's disappeared. Well, thank you. Now you've completely disappeared my camera. What has actually happened is we've switched our view to the camera we'd selected. And now wherever we move our mouse is where the camera is now going to be actually pointing. So if I want to say I want a top-down view of like the exact center of this level, I can just kind of, and I know this has got like a crazy looking texture on it. I'll get to that later, trust me. It's pretty neat, but let's see, if I get, I don't know, that looks good. Well, if I hit this button again and then move my camera, look at there, we've now positioned the camera relatively dead center on the level. I don't know if it actually is, but it looks that way. I'm not going to do a bunch of measuring at the moment. So we've got it positioned pretty well above the level. So that's really, really helpful for positioning all these cameras and doing fancy things with them. And if you're setting up a matinee, cinematic video of some kind, you can do this with each individual waypoint, or keyframe. I call them waypoints. I don't know why. keyframe. The proper term is keyframe. You can select the keyframe, select the camera, hit the lock selected actors class button, move the camera where you want it, and there you go. You've set your keyframe. You can just keep doing that. So it's really, really helpful to get very precise movements with. But other than that, let's go ahead and look at the options we have for this camera actor. We've got a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to go over each individual option because we'll be here all day, or in my case all night, if I do. So if you're familiar at all with just sort of basic terminology of cameras and pictures and sort of movie making stuff, then most of this will make sense. It's nothing too fancy. For instance, we have bloom effects, which is that effect that you get when you're looking at like a light or something, where it kind of glows sort of out the side of the light. A lot of people put that in movies for special effects, add some blooming effects. An example here in this is actually, if we look at the sun, we've got this huge bloom effect around sort of quote unquote the sun that is acting as this huge light source and everything. So that's what bloom effect is. Depth of field, which is DOF, and motion blur, and all that your typical sort of stuff you can just adjust here. And if you're wondering why there's two checkmark boxes, basically you sort of hit this to actually enable the bloom effect, and then you check this again as well. So there's two check boxes, one to actually allow you to quote unquote edit it, and then a second one to actually enable it. So this is to allow you to edit it. This is to actually, true or false, I want this in my thing. So this can be off and this be on, but it still have the bloom effect. But if this is on and this is off, then it won't have the bloom effect. This only allows you to really edit it. Does that make sense? Well, sort of. At least I thought it did. You can't edit these numbers and stuff without first doing this, and then you can edit the numbers, right? But I don't know. It's odd. Just check these if you want to use them. Basically, I don't understand why they did it like this, but it's different. So, at any rate, moving on. So you've got all these different numbers and all these different things you can adjust. You can adjust the exact depth of field focus position. So it's just lots of custom ability with this. You can go through and look at it. I'm not going to go over each individual option because there's lots of them. And you've even got options for mobile, for like a mobile platform if you're making like an app or so of some kind. But that's basically all your options. There's a lot to customize for doing cinematic, and you really don't even have to use all of that. But if you want, if you're doing a cinematic thing and you want to do a very specific look, well, there you go. And you can actually use, if you're doing, again, cinematic stuff, or even if you're doing just a normal perspective from a game, you can have the player be able to, actually set their own custom cameras up and stuff if you want to be able to do that. And have them be able to adjust a lot of things. And you can have, jump between different cameras with different pre-built settings for movies or whatever to do fancy effects with and all that fun stuff. So, and you've also got your aspect ratio and your field of view angle, and then to whether or not to constrain the aspect ratio, and for the viewing and stuff like that. So, lots of words all within a short span of time. My goodness. Okay, but anyway, that's all the options for the camera, and that's all well and good, of course. But okay, I have a camera in my level. I hit play and nothing really happens. Let me demonstrate this. Let's see. Let's disconnect that and hit play. And okay, where's my camera? This is not a top-down view that I set up. What's going on? Well, we have a camera in the level, but it's not doing anything. It's sitting there and saying, yes, I'm a camera and I'm viewing, but it's not actually transmitting its data to any other part of the level. It may be actually able to take in and give out data, but there's nothing to receive it, basically. So we have to set that up, which is just a little bit of Kismet work that I did. So it's not complicated, but at the same time, it's not incredibly simple. Because, first of all, you actually do have to set up some stuff in Kismet. But Kismet's relatively easy. So basically, you want to do like an attached actor, which is an action. So you go down to, let's see, where is it? Let's see. I found it earlier. I got to find it again. Actor. Let's see. Yeah, right there. So pretty simple. Actor, attached to actor, right? And then set camera target is you go down to camera, and there's set camera target. So it makes sense. It's it's organized accordingly. Makes sense. And then of course you can just get a player variable. Let's see, variable player, and then this variable right here is the camera actor itself. So you just select the camera you want to use. Right click on the ground, or not on the ground, I'm sorry. Right click in the space back here and then do new object variable, and then you can just hook those up into the appropriate slots. You need a target to attach the actor to. Basically, this node right here is saying what am I attaching? What am I attaching to? Right? So you want to attach to the player, and before I go further, I should clarify what this does is this actually sets the new camera for the player to be wherever this camera position is. So let me show you this before I continue on with the Kismet stuff. So now I've got this camera. I can rotate it around, and then I can move it and various things, and it's looking top down. And actually, because it's simulating a player still, with all of the attributes of a player, I can actually jump with this. So if you look carefully, you can actually see I'm going up and then back down, and I'm jumping with the camera. But I can't look up. Looking up and down, it just kind of rotates it a little bit, and I can't look side to side. It's just rotating only. So that's of course all due to the fact that this is like it is. So let's see. That basically what I've done is I've assigned the camera to be attached to the actor, which is the player, right? So I'm attaching the camera target to the player. So the camera target is the player, and then the actor is the player. Now I could set the camera target to be the player, but then not have it attached to the player. So basically what would happen is I could view top down, which was sort of the kind of thing you would want to do maybe with a strategy game, is you could set a top, or like so maybe even a top-down shooter. The object that you're controlling wouldn't be the camera, but it would be down where you're looking. So you wouldn't want to attach it to the player, right? You would only just want to have the player view, the new player camera be where the top-down view. In this case, we've actually attached the player movement to the camera, so the player can control the camera directly, which is what this attach to actor thing is. Which is why it's attached. That's why the player thing is attached to both sides, because the camera is being assigned to the player perspective, but then it's also being assigned to be controlled by the player with the attached actor. And then the attachment here is the camera actor. So it's attaching this camera actor to be controlled by the player. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it as well, because it took me a little fiddling to make sure I fully understood how this worked. And of course you have options here that you can fiddle with. You can do you can actually set offsets between the things. So if you want to provide sort of if you want to put the camera in one location, but then offset the actual player view a little bit, because maybe you want to use that same camera for some kind of viewing later, but you want it to be you want it to be looking at a certain point that the player is not necessarily looking at. I don't know, but you could offset the position that the player is looking at by a certain amount, which is determinable here. And of course, you've also got relative positioning and which is the angles and various things like that. So, and then the camera target, you've got all of the blending stuff. I'm not entirely sure what all this does, to be honest. With all the fiddling I've done around, haven't quite figured out everything, but nevertheless, you're likely not going to need to use this. Probably. Let's see what this says. Let's see, blend. I'm not sure what blend means, but anyway, apologies that I don't know quite what that one thing means. At any rate, of course, again, you need some sort of event to trigger this, which is why I have the player spawn node there. You don't even have to use that. You could set that up to be an option using, if I'm sorry, not an option, but like a key press or mouse click. If you just get like a event of I don't know. Let's see. Input. You could do like a mouse input or mobile input or something like that, and then set it up so that you press this button and it switches the camera or something like that. And you could have a whole bunch of these set up everywhere. You could even use triggers. So if you walk into a room, it switches to a top-down view for like a puzzle game, and then you have to maneuver through a maze using top-down view, and then after you get out of that, it switches to back to player perspective or something like that. You just have to be you just have to know, do I want to actually switch the actor, the camera actor, to be controlled by the player or not? Because here's what happens if I deattach this. Or actually, let's just delete this entirely and then do this. Let's see. Wait, hang on. See, respawn it there. Not sure if I'm too far away or not, but I'm actually pressing the WASD buttons, and it's not moving the camera at all. I may not have the player model set up correctly or something, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. Let me try moving the spawn point. I'm sorry. This is not working like I'd wanted it to be. Yeah, there's no player model for some reason. I'm not sure why that is, but at any rate, if there was a player model, I would actually be able to move it around separately. And this is a static camera. I cannot move the camera. I can move my player, and relative to as if I was looking at it in first person. And I would be able to jump in things. I'm pressing space. I'm pressing WASD. Control. It's not doing anything to the camera. It's a static camera. But for some reason, it's not allowing me to move around and show a player model. So I don't understand why that is. Maybe I need to be. Let's try moving this down a little bit. Actually, maybe it's a rendering thing. Nope. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why that is. But anyway, you can set up stuff like that. Figure out what the rendering issue is. I'm not sure about that, but that's basically how you set up the different player things. So I mean, you could you can set these up with like triggers and options and stuff. And if you want to do a little bit of programming, you can make a HUD or something. Be able to have like a menu to select different camera angles or whatever for you're doing like a strategy game of some kind or something like that. You get the gist. Another really neat thing, which is this box I'm sure you've been staring at the entire time, is the ability to have real-time feedback from a camera in your level while still maintaining, let's, demonstration purposes, get rid of this, all of it. Basically, what I've got here is a camera that will send feedback in real time of what is in front of it. So if I hit this button, I can look, and I've got like this texture that is it's sending back information about what is going on in the level. So to better illustrate this, where you can actually see things changing is if I go into lock selected actors to camera. So now, look, see, there we go. I've actually gotten close enough where it's repeating the image that it sees through here back to the texture, and so it's got like this repeated, mirror thing going on. And if I move far enough away, the reason there's this black thing is because of the way that the camera's set up by default with a depth of field. It's kind of wonky, so I'd have to change that a little bit. I didn't really feel like tweaking it because I'm lazy, but anyway, that's just sort of like a depth of field thing that can be changed. But basically, you can use this sort of if you're like making a game. You've got like a security camera, and you break into like the security room, and there's like all of the different security cameras showing you all the different things that are happening in the entire thing. Or maybe you're a security guard and you're sitting in the control room. You can see where someone's breaking in because you've got all of these things updating in real time. Or maybe you have a sports game. You want to do like a feedback to a giant screen up on the stadium or something like that. You can position these cameras and modify them with the field of view and other such settings so that they give you this real-time feedback in the level. And if I had an actual player model, you'd be able to see me walk in front of the thing, but for some reason the player model's not working, and I don't have enough time to, well, I mean, I do, but I don't feel like going and looking up and seeing why that's the case, because I guess I'm lazy. But I also didn't realize that was happening until I started recording the videos. So anyway, that's another interesting thing you can do. Now this does require a little bit of a fancy setup, so I'm going to show you what I've done here. Basically, what you don't want to use a normal camera actor. Let me see. Now let's turn this back like that. There. You don't want to use a normal camera actor. What I've got here is a scene capture 2D actor, which you can find in uncategorized. It's right here. So you've got the scene capture 2D actor. It looks just like a camera, but it's a little bit different in that you can use it to relay back to a material. What you're going to need to do is create a new texture render target 2D. And then once you've done that, you need to link that to the camera. So you open up the camera, you've got all of your options and various things you can do. A lot less than the other camera, mostly just because of the fact that it's just recording something. So you can just kind of, affect field of view and the near plane and fog and colors and various things like that. If I enabled fog, let's see if this will update. Okay. Well, that's probably having to do if I had a fog actor in here. Let's see. Let me do. There. Okay. So now it's got rid of the black there. Now that the near plane is adjusted, so that fixed that. But anyway, you can edit all of these things and fix it so that it's nice and like you like it. But basically, once you're done doing that, you need to go up to Texture Target, and then while you have the Texture Render Target 2D thing selected, click the Use Selected Object in Content Browser option. And then it'll link the two. What you're going to need to then do is create a material, because you can't just place the texture render target 2D directly onto an object. Most BSP or CSG or I forget the name of what is this? What is CSG? The CSG add stuff with the brushes and stuff. That usually accepts materials. It does accept, I think, texture 2Ds, but it also you also need to use the materials to be able to put it on. I can't speak today. To put it on meshes, just meshes, static meshes. So they're designed to just accept materials, but you can easily just make a new material. Just right-click, new material, and then go into the material editor. And all you need to do is just drag this in here and then just link it up to the diffuse section with the black to the very top, and then you've got your it should be working. And then you'll have to apply the changes to the original material, and it'll be capturing. And then all you need to do is just move the camera wherever you want it, and it'll be updating, because it'll be sending it to here, and then this is sending it to here, and this is being put onto the mesh itself. So that is pretty much how that works. Now you can also use these for cinematics. Pretty simple to do that as well. No, whoops. All you really need to do is not use this camera, because that's a scene capture 2D thing. Here, this one. Well, actually, whenever you have Matinee open, it shows like the angle of the camera and basically what it's capturing, as well as the how far down it's going. So if I move this up enough, you can kind of see. You can just see sort of the range of these things better. And yes, it will see all of this, but this is sort of just like a, I think maybe optimal range, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like a visual thing. But it does show you. I don't think. I think it goes out far. It's sort of like an optimal range for field of view settings. I'm not sure. I'd have to play around with that to really be certain if it really even changes anything, or if it's just how they set it up visually. But nevertheless, you get these cool graphical things, and you can just right-click, do a new camera group. That's fine. And then you've got your movement, your field of view angle, and then after that, you just really just set the key points and you move on. It's pretty self-explanatory once you've messed with Matinee at all. And you can. Let's see, let's throw a point down for field of view. So you can set the time, and then, that's already there. Set value, it's just a simple field of view value. And then the movement, obviously, that is just going to be a position, which again, you can actually use the, let me click on, let me go like a minute in or something. Hit the movement track, and then if I go to lock selected actor's camera, I can actually then move this over here and then unclick this button. And now we can actually see it's tracked the movement I did with my camera over to there. And I could do this for both field of view and movement. I'm sorry, I can't do this with field of view because that is separate quality other than the movement. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. That doesn't have anything to do with rotation. It's completely separate. Okay, ignore me part of the time during this tutorial. Anyway, you can use that to track movement easily. Makes it really handy whenever doing complicated curves and stuff. And you can also use the curve editor as well to be able to get your nice slow stopping instead of having jarring movements with the camera, because it's a lot more noticeable with the camera than it is with anything else. So, and then you can also actually do a new director group for all of the cameras that are here, and you can do like let's see. You can do under here. You can do like fade tracks and slow motion, and do audio mastery and color scaling and various things that have to do with the cameras that allow you to do some really neat stuff. So you can actually switch to each individual camera. So this is actually, it's got the black bars and stuff because that's the way the field of view is set up. But this is actually showing what this camera sees right now that I set up. And then if I hit the director group, now I'm just back to my normal camera viewing, and then I can go back into this one, and then I can actually just maneuver the camera itself where I want it, and I'm actually inside this camera, and then I can unclick that, and I'm good again. So that's some useful things that you can do. I'm not going to go into all of the individual director tracks at this moment in time. If it is requested, I don't mind going into that in a separate video covering cinematics, but basically it's pretty self-explanatory. you play with it enough, you'll figure it out. So that's sort of about all I've got on cinematics. I know I've covered like a lot of different aspects of how they can be used. But the cameras are pretty neat. You can do a lot with them. I know switching between third person and first person can actually be done with a console command. So you may not want to use a camera for that specifically, because that's tied to doing some fancy things with the player model as well. I know, but I'm not quite sure what that is off the top of my head because I've not really needed it for anything. But if people ask, I can look up and try and find it easily. But at any rate, that's pretty much all I've got for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and if you have any suggestions for future tutorials, I am happy to listen. Yeah, I'll see you guys in another video.